This is breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
Kudos to everyone involved, especially the original players that are still here. We tried to thank them the other night with a little display of starting the game, and they came through for us. So here we are, a year later, and I couldn't be any happier. So fire away, folks, and let's talk some hockey.
I think that's Las Vegas Review-Journal. Bruce, what have the last 72 hours been like for you, from celebrating with the players, the team, your family, to now?
Not enough sleep, as you can tell. Voice is starting to go. Just a lot of joy, to be honest with you. Different people. I mean, my brother's here and his boys, and obviously my family and some friends, and just fans, people you run into that are been season ticket holders since day one. And like I said, it's just been answering texts from colleagues and people around the league and people you used to work with, and it's been good. It's been great. And it's going to go on a little longer. We've got a parade to go to here in a couple days. So I got to get my act together and get some sleep. Be ready to go. It's tomorrow. That's right. It is tomorrow. Well, I'm going to get a nap in somewhere. That's it. I don't know what else to say. Got to get a nap.
Danny Webster, Las Vegas Sun. Bruce, you had said throughout the year that this team was imperfect and for different reasons, but what made this team perfect during this playoff?
Just the togetherness of the team, the timeliness of our responses, I would say. We didn't start the playoff the way we wanted to, but it got to our game, so that got us rolling against Winnipeg. Edmonton's 2-2. We got to step up and play and take control of the series in Game 5 and 6, and I think that really pushed us over a major hurdle to get through that series. It was physical. It was nasty. You got some all-world talent, so I think you're sitting there now, you're halfway feeling like we can get this done. We're as good as anybody. Game 6 in Dallas, I think, was a real measuring stick game for us, getting over that hurdle from going from a team that had been to the conference championship but not, to the Stanley Cup final. And once we were there, I truly believe we weren't going to be denied. And that's no disrespect to Florida. I just felt it with our guys. You could sense that we were all business, not happy to be there, but wanting to get it right for certain guys that had been there and hadn't got the cup, and other guys who had been there were showing the way. So that's how I felt. So I don't know if that answers your question specifically. There's probably more than one moment that came along, but we were close to perfect in the second period of Game 5, Game 6 in Dallas. So there was those games that you saw when we could be at our best. Second period, I think it was in Edmonton in the clinching game. Third period against Winnipeg. I thought when it was time to, all 4 clinching games, I thought we dominated, and that's a sign of a team that's ready to do it. Now, we missed an opportunity in Dallas. I understand that, but that's the imperfect part, right? There's just times along the way where we tripped up a little bit, but I mean, that's one thing. People ask me what I learned from that. You don't have to be perfect to win the Stanley Cup. That's what I learned. I learned that this year, and I think before you're always thinking as a coach, you got to be, here all the time. It's not. There's a lot of highs and lows. You just got to find your game at the right time. We were able to do that.
Chris Chapman, Fox Sports Las Vegas. Bruce, obviously every season, highs and lows, ups and downs, but it seemed like the turning point for this season happened on that dad's trip, where it was at that moment following that trip that you guys really seemed to come into your own, start playing your best hockey. What happened on that trip to kind of turn things around and get things going?
Great playoff beard, by the way. Yeah. Well, that's a good question. I just think that when your dads are on the trip, you want to make them proud, right? So the guys, I think, knew that they wanted to play their best game. So all of a sudden we go into, I think it was Nashville, then Minnie. I might have the order wrong, but and we did. Played really well both games. So I think that just got us out of the funk that we were in before the break. We're having a tough time. It's probably the worst stretch of our season. And to be able to come out of it and the dads are there and find your game and then kind of just roll through that second half. So I wouldn't say there's one defining moment. I think just being around them. I think they, if I remember, they had a curling trip between games. We didn't have practice. So just spending quality time with them, I think, brings the best out of you. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why they do them, right? You want dads are proud of their kids, and kids want to make their dads proud, right? And like I said, it brings out the little kid in you in the game. So worked real well for us, and I think we got a little bit healthy coming out of that as well. A few bodies back, if I'm not mistaken. I think Theo and White Cloud were guys coming back into the lineup, so helped us a lot.
Hey Bruce, Derek Van Diest, NHL.com. Just want to ask you about Mark Stone. There was a report today that says that he's still kind of injured a little bit and he may miss some time. But I just want to ask you about his grit and his determination to come back and be such a big part of this Stanley Cup win for you guys.
Well, we didn't know. It's a second major surgery for him. And we did not know if it. When he had the surgery, we were told that if it went well, he had a chance to join us in the playoffs. Whether that was early or late, we don't know, depending on how the team does, depending on how quickly it comes around. But I think that really gave us a spark. He's our emotional leader. You see it on the ice. I think every guy in the room would tell you that. They love his passion for the game. They love to be around him. He's a very honest guy. He's up front with what he says to the group, to you guys, when we discuss things. I did not know he was. I mean, all guys play through a little bit, so I hope it's nothing serious. I haven't met with the medical team yet this morning, but he will need some time away from the rink like everybody. I think when you have a grueling thing, especially in his situation, I think hopefully he heals up and is able to strengthen that area so there's never a problem again, knock on wood for his sake, because he's gone through it twice now. So, but yeah, he's our inspirational leader. I mean, you got different guys lead in different manners, and that's his is what you see, with your...
Ron Futrell from 8 News Now over here. You said you got a number of texts of congratulations from a number of different people, areas. Anybody that surprised you that you got a note, text from, that you did a double take?
No, not really. I mean, there's just people that you cross paths with. A lot of my previous organization, I still have lots of friends there, players that reached out, former players. There is one I used to play with, Eddie Belfour. I haven't been in touch with in a long time. He was in Saginaw when I was a young guy, and then when he left Chicago's organization, I'd never crossed paths with him. So it was good to hear from Eddie. It's probably been 15 years. So there's one. I wouldn't say surprised me, but it was one that I read through and I was like, wow, good to hear from Eddie. I'm glad he's doing all right.
Ken Bolke, Cinnamon.Vegas, when you first got here, you said you had a goaltender-friendly system. Did you learn that is really true? Yeah, I mean, I believe that. I mean, I saw it in Boston for a long time. I saw different goaltenders, very good ones. The system helped Tuukka Rask, Anton Hudobin, go right down Swayman, Allmark last year. So I do believe it will help goaltenders, but the goalie's still got to go in there and stop the puck, right? So I just think it's a system that shouldn't be highly stressful night after night after night with high danger chances. It doesn't always work out that way, but that's how it's designed to be. We happen to have the right defenseman to play in it as well. I think we're very fortunate that they mixed well with it, and some smart centermen, so kind of fell into place.
Hey Bruce, Alan Snell with LVSportsBiz.com. You mentioned the year anniversary. I was wondering if you can talk a little about yourself in terms of being let go by Boston and just the journey that you have personally made in a very different market from Boston, completely different, very new. I was wondering if you could just talk a little about your own personal...
Yeah, we've kind of been through that, and I'm not trying to slough it off. There was a lot of questions about that. I think my time in Boston made me the coach I am today more than any other stop along the way. And at the end of the day, they decided someone else would be a better voice, and that's entirely their call and their decision. I would have loved to have been back. I've said that many times, but this was the best thing to ever happen to me, to land in Vegas. So you don't know what's in front of you sometimes, and here we are talking about the Stanley Cup, so a year later. And that's about it. I don't know, the coaches have to move their families a lot. That's part of the business. Still tough going through that, but getting acclimated here was really a gentle process, for lack of a better word. Everyone had a smooth transition. The people here have been awesome to work with. Right out of the gate, we're 13-2, so the job you're going to every day, you're having success, so you can breathe a little easier. It's not easy to be a new guy and start stumbling around, you know what I mean? So that helped us a lot, I think, as a coaching staff and the team gaining each other's trust. And I think as the year went on, we got more and more comfortable with one another and how we want to play and win. And they went out and executed that sort of vision. So can't thank the players enough for that. I mean, we wouldn't be here if they didn't do it.
Steve Carp with the Sporting Tribune. Coaches normally don't get involved in the business side of hockey, but with pending free agency, there's going to be potentially a very different looking roster when you come to training camp in September. Have you had a chance to give any input to Kelly and George? And if not, do you anticipate talking about some of your UFAs and RFAs with them before they start making their...
Yeah, I don't think it's going to look that different, to be honest with you. I think we have maybe 19 guys under contracts. That seemed... I mean...
14 total UFAs, RFAs.
There's 14 UFAs and RFAs in our team this year? I don't think so. What?
It's a lot of the AHL guys.
There's some young guys.
Well,
like a Patero.
I stand corrected then. What I will talk to Kelly about all our players. Obviously, he makes those decisions in the end, but I mean, the coach and GM have those conversations all the time and input. I just felt like the roster that was on the ice for Game 5, I thought most of those players would be back. That just was... I know Barbashev and Aiden Hill are unrestricted free agents that obviously were big parts of this team, and Brett Howden is a restricted, I think. After that, I thought the guys were back, and even Huddy and Paul Cotter had a good year, so the opportunity, and Dorofayev finished strong. Those guys have opportunities to push through, right? And that's usually how your organization grows and gets better, when you have internal competition, so that'll be good. But I don't know about a lot of the guys in Henderson, what all their situations are, to be honest with you. So I shouldn't comment on that, because I don't know what's going on with those guys. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I know Quickie's a free agent. Phil Kessel, Teddy Bluger, guys we picked up. And you can't keep everybody. I understand that. LB as well. So there's, at the end of the day, we'll do our best to make it work in the salary cap. As I said, Krim will ask for my opinion. I'll give it, and then I'm going golfing. It's up to him to decide who he wants to fill the roster with.
Jesse Granger at The Athletic. Bruce, you mentioned that maybe you learned along this cup run the level of perfection it takes to win a cup. I'm wondering, in terms of what it takes to win, did you learn anything along this season, this run, that was maybe different than you thought going into it, in terms of what it takes to win hockey games in the playoffs?
Well, that part I felt I had a good idea. I've been through it on both sides, and won some series, lost some series. I've always felt that you need interior people, both offensive, defensive. I always said, well, what's the key? They'll say, what's the key to the series? To me, it's always the slot battle, net front. Net front to slot. The team that wins that battle, to me, has the best chance to win, usually, because things tighten up, and the rush game disappears at times. Not all the time, but at times. I thought we scored a number of goals off the rush because we were good in transition, good in the breakouts, but in general, when the games tighten up, you had to win that. And I don't think that changed for us. I think defensively, we were very difficult to play against and to get inside. And I think I've heard some of the coaches say that after the series, and I believe it. And, we're a big D-core. And it's not this big, nasty, mean. It's just big, that know how to defend, that value defending, use their stick, use their bodies, physical when they need to be. And I think the addition of Barbashev and Will Carrier coming back into our lineup and Mark Stone coming in really helped us on the offensive side of things, get people to the net. And then it become a little bit of a domino effect. It's like the physicality. If you got 2 or 3 guys hitting, it can pull some other guys into the fight, and all of a sudden now guys that aren't known for their physicality all the time will start finishing checks, right? That's how things happen in your team. Back checking happens that way. So you always need those leaders to do that and pull the other guys into the fight. And I think going to the net is another thing. Brett Howden all of a sudden is at the net front all the time. Michael Amadio, the Riley Smith goal and the 4th goal, him and Carly, you know what I mean? So now you're inside all the time. I think it became a snowball effect. So I still believe that's what it takes to win for the most part, and I think we executed that part of our game as well as any team in the playoffs. I'll tell you, so just to touch on that though, Jesse, the one thing I did learn is the special teams you always used to think had to be at the top to win, and we kind of debunked that, for lack of a better term, a little bit this year. Ours weren't always at the top. They were timely. We didn't give up a power play goal in the final, but it took us a long time to get to that point. So I guess we got away with average special teams through the first couple rounds. So again, that probably surprised me. If someone had told me that at the start, I would have said, well, that could really work against us. So that's one area that I guess we were imperfect in, and still found a way. Sorry.
Vince Sapienza, Fox 5. You talked all regular season about building your game, right? Building to the right time. I'm curious for you, was there a moment in the regular season where you're looking at the team or a trip or a home game or whatever it may be that the confidence for you personally in this group was, this is one that can go where it needs to go?
Yeah, we had a trip late in the year out east. We started in Florida, didn't play well. It was a long trot, you know what I mean? But we went to Tampa and won. We won in Carolina. Now, I know St. Louis and Philly after that their teams were in different places than Tampa and Carolina. But I thought Tampa, knowing the East, Tampa and Carolina are always two of the better teams out there. They don't give you nothing for free, right? You got to go there and earn it. So I thought that trip, and we used 4 different goalies. So I thought, you know what? This team can win. This team can play in front of anybody, and they can win. And we'll have a chance if we keep building on this. So that was definitely one of those moments you look as a coach and say, okay, these guys are getting it. And we can play with anybody. And that's a small sample size, I know, but it's more out of the product of, who we used on that trip as much as who we played against.
Bruce, Willie Ramirez with the Associated Press. When you look at your career from playing through coaching, you've been in 4 sports markets: Chicago, Washington, Boston, and now Las Vegas. 3 established professional sports cities. Now that you've gone through your first year in Las Vegas and you think about it, is it hard to believe that this town is still in somewhat of its infancy stage, 6 years old, and now has 3 professional franchises? Just your thoughts on the city after being through, like I said, 3 established pro sports cities.
Yeah, I didn't know, to be honest with you. You come to Vegas, to me, I was asked a long time ago, what do you think of? You think of the Strip, right? I don't think I'm the only guy that would ever say that. And then you start thinking of the everyday life here and the people that told me how great it was, particularly this area, Summerlin, for families, etc. And now you start learning a little bit about the history and of the sports markets, and I mean, it's obviously taken off, and I assume, I don't know, is the NBA around the corner? I don't know enough, you know what I mean? Like Vegas has become a market just like all the other major ones now, slowly but surely, and you got to build some history to do that, and to build history, you got to win championships. So good for the Aces and good for us to get championships, and that we'll see what happens with the Raiders and the A's and all that stuff down the road. But that's how it starts. It's usually, to me, one at a time, and off you go. I don't know if I'm answering your question. I mean, when I got to Chicago, those franchises were, the Cubs were how old, and the Blackhawks, so they're originals, where it's kind of nice to be part of the infancy of this. I mean, I might look back and I'm 85 years old and say, you know what, I was there when it all started, which would be kind of cool, right? Washington was a little bit in between. Like they weren't. I mean, I think the football team was there forever. The hockey team was 74. So I mean, I was around to see that. As a kid to watch. I think they came in with the Islanders or Atlanta. I can't remember now. I should know that, right? Size? Who'd they come in with?
Scouts. I think.
Scouts, Kansas City. Any hockey aficionados out there? History buffs? Who they come in with the Caps? They come in with the Scouts or?
They did.
Huh?
They did.
Good call.
Caps and Scouts.
Yeah, I do remember it was the 70s, right? The early, so now what's that, 50 years, so that time flies. So we could be looking at that with Vegas. So
yeah, Butch, Mike Zeisberger, NHL.com. Just a lot of coaches say that the pain of losing overrides the joy of winning. There's just a fear to lose. So when you compare what you felt like at TD Garden watching St. Louis hoist the cup,
I felt like crap, in case you want to know.
Okay.
I mean,
versus the other night, just does one emotion override the other, or is it just polar opposite?
Well, you know what? Time will tell, because in the moment you have high and low, right? But it stayed with me a long time, that loss and that feeling. And Whether that's healthy or not, I mean, is it probably a conversation for someone in a lab coat more than us, right? But at the end of the day, I hope the feeling of winning stays with me as long as the losing one did, because you need to enjoy those moments. We got to be ready to go to work next October. We know that. We can see what happened quickly if you're not ready to go, and health can determine, future success and failure. So, but I still want to enjoy what it feels like, so that, and the players do too, so that you're playing. You need to remember what you're playing for and how you felt sometimes, right, in those long dog days of the season. So I don't have a great answer for you, the long-term one, but I know in the immediate moment, I mean, there's tears of joy and there's tears of sadness, right? And you have them both. And I can't say one was higher than the other. For me, it was obviously great to win. I've been at it a long time. It's something I wanted to do my entire life. And here we are. So I think this one will last longer than the dejection of the Boston one. I do, because you've got tangible things too to look at and see that can remind you of. I don't have great memories of every game of the 19 loss. I have memories of the last game, whereas I think I'll remember a lot more of this playoff run, some of the meetings we had with the guys and some of the little things that were said, and the Elvis wig and all those little things, whereas the 19 run, it's a lot about that one loss at home that kind of sticks with you.
Danny Webster, Las Vegas Sun. Just housekeeping on the injury front, if you can. Just Logan, if he needs anything done this offseason, Laurent.
I don't have a lot for you right now. Logan was skating and practicing. We didn't have a lot of team stuff, and then Quickie and Hilly both needed a net, so there was a little bit of that managing, getting him enough work. But he is well on his way to recovery, and I anticipate he'll be 100% by training camp. Just needs normal kind of rehab right now. I haven't heard of any surgeries, but don't hold me to that from any of our guys, to be honest with you. I don't know if they've released anything. I really don't. I think Krim will probably be able to update you later today on that. But LT should be good. Was there someone? Did you say? Who? No, he's okay. He's around. He's working out. I don't think he needs surgery, as far as I know.
Ryan Wallace, Fox Sports Las Vegas. Bruce, when you got here last year, you said your ultimate goal is to win the Stanley Cup. You dream about that as a kid. How did reality live up to those dreams?
Well, here we are. So I mean, it's as real as it can be. The last 3 days, you got the cup in the room, and I think when you dream about winning it, maybe you forget about all the little things along the way, right? You're probably just dreaming of this moment, right, where it's over your head, but all the other things that would probably, like I said, from the memories that you're going to have, in years from now, is probably what the best part is I'm guessing, because it's still pretty fresh, right? It's 3 days. So anyway, I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but I think the parade will make it real, really real. I went through one in Boston. It was unbelievable. So in 2011, I had the extra guys. So I'm not saying we had a parade for losing. Don't write that, but I think that'll be awesome for the fans, for the players, everyone involved. It'll be pretty cool, right? It's going to be cool.
Thanks, Bruce.
All right, thanks, everyone. Enjoy your summers.
You've been watching Breaking News from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.